Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, I'm sure by now a lot of people have been hearing about and are at least somewhat familiar with the current lawsuit going on with 2311 and Front Row versus NASCAR. And basically, if you're not in the loop, what's happening is 2311, Front Row, and even more teams were upset about it at the beginning of the year. This was supposed to be a lot bigger of an issue than it was. We had been hearing that a lot of teams were not going to sign the charter deal, the charter agreement, and eventually it was only 2311 and Front Row that didn't sign. But basically, what's happening is those two teams didn't want to sign the charter agreement because they feel that it is a predatorial practice. They feel like it's hard for them to make money. It's hard for them to really come out on top with this chartered agreement. And they wanted it to be different. They wanted it to be restructured and kind of re-looked at. And with them not signing the agreement, it brought on this whole lawsuit where they are suing NASCAR in court, trying to basically say, look, these charters are a problem. They pose a problem to our race teams, and it's going to be hard for us to break even. And it's the same case with a lot of these teams. We've been hearing it since the next gen era started. Costs are way up. It is way harder to field a car than it used to be even 5-10 years ago. So the way it's looking is more than likely 2311 and Front Row are going to lose their charters. There are 6 total charters altogether that are possibly right now kind of in the loop, that are, are these two teams going to win the lawsuit, or is NASCAR going to win the lawsuit and get these charters? And I would have to imagine, and again, I'm not a lawyer. I keep up with what's happening, but it's hard for me to really make any sort of assumptions. But if I had to make one, it's that NASCAR is going to get those charters and they're going to win the lawsuit. And at this point, even as soon as Dover on Sunday, 2311 and Front Row Motorsports entries could possibly be unchartered. And what does that mean? That means that if we have a field over 40 cars and for whatever reason an unchartered 2311 or Front Row machine fails to qualify top 40, they will not make the race anymore. Guys like Hendrick, guys like Joe Gibbs, all the big chartered teams, which are most of them, are guaranteed a spot in the field. So even if we have, let's say in the Daytona 500, for example, a 44 car entry list, it doesn't matter if you don't post a qualifying lap. It doesn't matter if you have issues in qualifying or you're slow. You are going to make the field automatically. And the last 4 guys are, well, I think there's 36 chartered teams. So the last 8 guys are all fighting for those final 4 spots. But if you're an unchartered car and you don't get that last 40th position, you're going home. And it's not really going to happen so much during kind of the random events of the season, the normal races. It's mainly going to be the marquee events or maybe road courses where this would pose an issue to 2311 currently. Now, if NASCAR takes these charters, they can sell them to other teams. Other teams could come in and buy these charters up. And then you're looking, okay, 2311 and Front Row, between the two of them, that's at least a 2-car operation that we're trying to get in. So that's 4 cars each week that if they still wanted to race, we would have to see them try to qualify their way in. Depending on how these charter sales with NASCAR go, if they do get the charters back out there and sell them, and we do have 36 full charters, most weeks it might not be an issue. Most weeks they might make it into the race. However, you're not getting the same payout. You're not getting the same guarantee that you are making the race. There's a lot of downsides to not being a chartered team. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure that you get prize money if you're not a chartered team. So this would pretty much spell the end, in my opinion, for both of these race teams, and it's a dire situation. But what I wanted to get on here and talk about is, if this is the turning point, and if this is the end, especially for 2311 Racing, you have a guy in Tyler Reddick who is proven to be capable of winning, a proven championship contender. He was in the championship 4 in 2023, I believe. Hell, it could have been last year. I can't remember. I think it was 2023, though. But point being, that's your guy right there. If he no longer is on a chartered team, you have to imagine that a chartered team somewhere is going to want to pick Tyler Reddick up, especially. He will be the number 1 free agent if that's what it comes down to. And an interesting possibility to think that we know that Alex Bowman has been struggling. We kind of think of him, I think, as the 4th car at Hendrick. He kind of runs like the 4th car at Hendrick. He's in contention for wins, don't get me wrong. He has good runs. He's proven that he can win races. But he's not winning races the same manner that Chase Elliott's a bad example right now. But he's not winning as much as Kyle Larson. He's not winning as much as William Byron. Larson's already won the championship. Elliott has already won a cup championship. William Byron very well could do it this year. So when you look at the 3 other guys at Hendrick, you start to kind of understand that Alex Bowman is a little bit underperforming. He hasn't made it to the round of 4 yet. I think he's made it to the round of 8 2 times, if I'm remembering correctly. And we have heard rumors about him before. Last year at this time, we were talking about the potential for Justin Haley, I think, maybe even Carson Hocevar, a couple of these guys, to potentially come in and take Alex Bowman's spot in the number 48. However, those were just rumors, things that got dismissed pretty quickly, and it kind of made sense that they did get dismissed. But here's where the thing changes. Here's where everything changes. Tyler Reddick, in my honest opinion, is one of the top 5 guys in the Cup Series right now. You could put Larson ahead of Reddick. You could put Christopher Bell. You could probably put William Byron ahead of Tyler Reddick. And there's a couple guys that it's real back and forth. But in terms of speed, in terms of ability, in terms of good finishes, he is a top 5 guy. And if you put him in that Hendrick Motorsports number 48, he's going to be a problem immediately. I'm talking immediately. That same season, he could win the championship. If they get everything figured out, he could go on a tear in top quality Hendrick Motorsports equipment and start winning and start tearing it up. Now, somebody would have to be the 4, and it doesn't make much sense to say this, but I think Chase Elliott's the 4. He's been struggling significantly in the next-gen era, and truth be told, it's a different Chase Elliott than what we're used to seeing. This is a guy that won a championship a couple years ago, and he just has fallen off the face of the earth, it seemed like. He just recently snapped, what was it? I think close to a 30, maybe 40 race winless streak. You cannot be in Hendrick equipment and go almost a full season or longer and not win. He had plenty of opportunities to win, and things just didn't go his way. But you have to be able to come through, especially driving in Hendrick equipment. And we're starting to see the same thing with Alex Bowman. He can win, he can do it, but he's not doing it consistently enough, in the equipment that he's in, and he's not making those deep playoff runs to the Final Four. I think that if Tyler Reddick does lose his spot at 23-11 and they do go uncharted, there is a serious and significant possibility that Tyler Reddick could end up at Hendrick Motorsports driving that 48. Now, why am I talking about this? Simply because I love the idea, and I do really think it could happen. I've seen other people kind of float the possibility of this happening, and it makes sense. It makes sense for Hendrick. It makes sense for Tyler Reddick. To get those two elements together would be championship caliber right there, immediately. Now, what do I love about it? If you've been kind of following, you know my favorite guy back in the day was Jimmy Johnson. And you know that my favorite guy since Jimmy Johnson retired is Tyler Reddick. So to get Reddick in that 48 would just be huge. And I am praying for it just for my own personal benefit. I would love to see it. But I seriously think that there's a chance it could happen, and it would just make sense. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Do you see any other free agents? Where do you see Bubba Wallace ending up if this scenario plays out? Where do we see Noah Gragson or Zane Smith? Where do we see them going? It's all up in the air right now, and it's wild that we're in this scenario. But one thing's for sure, Tyler Reddick is the number one prospect.